So hello and welcome to this special mid-month update from the Cardano 360 team. Now we'll be bringing you regular Alonzo development progress reports over the next few months as we head towards smart contract deployment on the Cardano mainnet. So if you're here to find out more about the Alonzo testnet and where we are in the process, then you've come to the right place. Now we'll stick to the high level today, so this is just a short video, but if you want to learn more about the process we're following on the road to Alonzo, we'll have a deeper dive in our regular monthly Cardano 360 show on the last Thursday of this month, where we'll have lots more guests from the engineering team and behind the scenes who are making this happen. But today we're joined by two of the core project delivery team, tracking the progress of Alonzo on the way to mainnet and keeping us on those rails. So Nigel Helmsley is the head of delivery for Cardano, and also joining us is Dimitris, who some of you may recognize from his video updates as we rolled out Shelley, Allegra and Mary. So Nigel, let's start with you. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Head of delivery, what is that role and what are you doing to bring Alonzo to the mainnet?
Well, hi everybody. My name's Nigel. I'm head of delivery for Cardano. We've got a large set of delivery teams that are spread internationally, all sorts of different engineers, testers, specialists, and managers. And what we do is we bring all those teams together to coordinate the delivery of new functionality for Cardano.
So I think you'd have had to have been on Mars not to know what the name Alonzo is, but maybe we can just refresh a few people's minds. Alonzo, what does it mean for the Cardano network?
It's the next hard fork, Tim. Just like we did previously, Allegra before Christmas and then Mary in February, we are bringing Alonzo in. That's going to bring lots of new use cases and, of course, the next era in Cardano. For us, Goguen is all about utility. It moves us from a platform of transaction and staking, and it brings in the real-world use cases.
So let's maybe cut to the chase, and what really everybody wants to know is how's it all going?
Very well. For the past couple of weeks, we've had an internal testnet for our engineers to actually work on. They're going through it and preparing it and doing our QA testing to make sure that it's ready. And then when the Alonzo era node is ready, we'll be delivering onto a testnet, and we're on track to be able to get that done by the end of this month. This will be the first testnet outside the core engineering team. And when we do it, we're going to bring together a small group to initially test it and get it working. And this will be the Alonzo era node network. It's the basics, but it's the fundamental foundations. Once we've got that core functionality with a small group of devs and SPOs working, we're going to iterate. We're going to build, we'll test new features, we'll bring in more developers, and we'll start to kind of iterate and expand. It's all in sync with doing the node releases and also doing the back-end integrations. And every step that we take, and it happens day to day, week to week, we're building more functionality, more testing, squashing more bugs, and then we come together and do the optimization and benchmarking at the end.
Okay, so Dimitris, I mean, the road to Alonzo didn't just start this month. It's been a long journey, but maybe just stepping back to the beginning of the year, tell us what the progress that's been made is so far.
So you're exactly right, Tim. Bluetooth has been in development for several years already, but yes, we've done really a lot since January, all building towards this. So we kicked off the year with our Mary hard fork, which started as a journey in the Goguen era, and we introduced the native tokens functionality across our network. So this is something that has grown enormously, and today we're seeing really exciting community activity around both native tokens as well as NFTs. And this is already before having the full capabilities being delivered on our network, which is really great. So over the past few months, we pulled together a lot more work on Goguen, and we now have our next release, Alonzo, almost ready. And we also have a clear roadmap, which is defined in order for building our entire smart contracts ecosystem.
Now, of course, speaking of Goguen capabilities, Plutus is central to that, and of course, what Alonzo is all about. But Nigel, maybe you can just give us a bit of a technical deep dive into the stack and where it sits within that.
The Plutus application architecture is basically our smart contract engine room. It's split between on-chain and off-chain components. The on-chain components are the parts that are embedded within the node and within our basic infrastructure, and the off-chain components are the parts that actually connect to it. Plutus itself is a library of functions and operations that enable an engineer to start building a smart contract. So ultimately, you want to be thinking that Plutus is the primary smart contract capability for Cardano. It's part application, part toolbox. It's an application, but it's a platform application, and it gives the engineer a whole box of tricks to be able to develop lots of clever blockchain functionality. The way that we deliver it, we split into 2 work streams, and that gives us a couple of advantages. The first work stream is local Plutus platform testing. So it's not integrated into the real node at this point, but it enables engineers to work locally and actually build out, experiment and test with the Plutus platform and actually get it working as a standalone application. Alongside that, we are updating our core infrastructure to bring it into the Alonzo era. And then ultimately what we do then is we bring them both together so that actually they are fully integrated, and we start doing that at the end of this month with the first delivery of the Alonzo era node onto a testnet.
So Dimitris, that's talking about sort of integration with the node network, but of course we've had the playground for quite some time now, and also a number of local mock chains, I believe. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that kind of local component and what's been achieved already there with Plutus.
Certainly, Tim. So yes, we've built actually a number of use cases that illustrate the power of Plutus, and this has been built by OHK engineering team, by Lars, our head of education, and also by some of our strategic partners that were brought on board. And actually, we published a blog spot about that. So I just will have some notes also at the bottom of this video. But the key thing here is that these strategic Plutus partners are basically building those use cases on the Plutus mock chain. And effectively, this is a local implementation of the Cardano blockchain. And this is helping massively in order to identify and resolve any initial issues with that.
So what are we finding so far, Nigel? Have we got anything working?
Definitely. It's still early days, but internally we've built some use cases. And now we're spinning up our Plutus partner network, and they're starting to get involved and build things. It is, as I said, early days, but some of them now have actually managed to do a hello world, which is a round trip around Plutus just to make sure all the interfaces are working. And what I can see now is once you've got those basics together, you can build on it and deliver things that are much more complex.
Okay, so we're going to meet some more of those Plutus partners in the 360 show this month, and as you say, Dimitris, we've got a blog post that we can link to in the show notes below. We've actually got a GitHub as well, which lists some of the use cases that they've been working on, so definitely worth having a look at that if you want to know more. So let's get back to the rollout. Now, we've been calling it the Alonzo testnet, but really it's the Alonzo testnets, isn't it? It's a series of testnets, Nigel.
That's right, Tim. Yeah, it's a series of testnets that build step by step, start it internally, build on, start using external engineers and other partners to help us work it, start with a small group and then carry on expanding. The first phase is with an internal testnet for our IOHK engineers. The second is a new testnet, which is by the end of this month for our Plutus partners and some selected SPOs. They initially help us set up the network and make sure the node's working correctly. The third phase is when we've got Plutus pioneers and using an initial smaller group drawn from quite a large community to actually do the same thing again. So more testing, improving, and also working on the documentation, which is quite often where we find some of the holes. So if we want people to use Plutus, we've got to have a really good quality set of documentation. And it's not just us that do that, our partners really help us out on that too. The fourth phase is when we expand to our wide community, and there's a lot of Plutus pioneers out there now. There's 1,500 odd developers, and once they get involved, we'll see an expansion within the use of Plutus, and we'll see a lot of great ideas coming to fruition. The final step is getting it onto the Cardano testnet, which is our main public testnet, where then everybody can be involved before it's finally transitioned to the mainnet.
So obviously a bunch of different phases, but of differing lengths, I imagine, and some faster than others. And I also understand there's going to be pretty fast iterations if it's anything like the last few rollouts we've done with multiple node releases. And in fact, we're setting up Discord and Telegram channels and these sort of things, I think, to help people navigate their way through this process, which will start slow and accelerate fast. So all these protocol updates and hard forks, it's about updating different components of the stack, isn't it, Dimitris? So where are we on the kind of the wider component integrations which need to happen alongside Alonzo?
You're absolutely right, Tim, and it's not something trivial, but still our ledger is now fully Alonzo. So we have new rules applied, test integrated, and communicating to our consensus layer, which is significant. Then consensus has to be updated and continues to be tested for now. And the final step is that we need to integrate fully with the Node API and Node CLI. But we're close. We're definitely close. And once these components come together, we will launch our first Alonzo testing.
But inevitably, I guess things will be a little bit bumpier first.
Of course, the early testnet is focused on getting the network of Alonzo nodes working well together. And it will be almost certainly a bumpy road because this is quite innovative. And we have an experienced group of people that will help us tackle that at first. So some of the core integration will be missing at the first stage, and that will be the integration to the main Bluetooth library or the backend, but it will be possible to build manual interfaces and basically complete our first Alonzo round trip, which is significant. And then the rest will come soon after that, and of course, as always, we'll continue to iteratively improve. So over the course of the next month, we will have a fully integrated Bluetooth soft chain components, and our developer community will start working on a fully integrated test ledger. This is, as you said, the step-by-step progress, and those steps will iteratively start getting closer and closer to each other as we progress.
So look, Nigel, Dimitris, thank you very much for giving us that brief insight into the process and also some of the work that goes on behind the scenes to get us to Alonzo. But just before we close, maybe Nigel, this is one part of what's going on. There's lots of other testnet activity going on over the next few months as well, isn't there?
There's lots of exciting stuff going on. Alonzo is our main focus, but as you know, we've getting very close now to getting peer-to-peer out. But I don't want to steal their thunder. It's a lot of clever engineering to make that work, and I know they're going to want to report it in the Cardano 360. Likewise with the ERC20 test, that's also coming out. And I know the other team that's working on that is eager to report via your Cardano 360 at the end of this month.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you, Nigel. I'm sure they'll appreciate that. We will indeed have them on the show. And as you say, testnets for Alonzo, testnet for peer-to-peer, testnet for ERC20, all on the near horizon. So look, thank you very much, both of you. And thank you, everybody, for watching this brief mid-month update. Join us on Cardano 360 on the last Thursday of the month for a deeper dive into Alonzo and everything else that's happening in this exciting Cardano ecosystem. Thank you very much for joining.